Well, over the last couple of years, we've really been putting a lot of emphasis in the university onto teamwork and leadership, and our leadership and teamwork interface. And we got a real good chance to really try all of this out earlier this year when we had the floods in Rockhampton. We were designated as the evacuation centre, and our sports centre ended up having around 400 people moving in from flood affected areas into the university, and this happened very quickly. It also happened over the new year when many of our managers and leaders in the university were away from campus, overseas and goodness knows where else. So when this happened, we really needed to see great teamwork and great leadership with often people that weren't necessarily the team leaders in their day-to-day practice. So we were really pleased how that all came together. We saw people taking leadership roles in teams. We saw teams forming between different parts of the university. And I think it really validated where we want to go as a university that's made up of many teams, but made up of people that are all leaders. And when the time comes, they can all take that leadership role within the team, and maybe more importantly, and when the time's appropriate, to be led within a team. And I think we saw that happening. We saw our facilities management people getting our sports centre ready to take people to sleep in there. We saw things like extra showers and toilets being brought onto the campus. We saw the cleaners coming on board and working out routines for cleaning. We also had to be the home for hundreds of dogs and cats and animals. We saw our sports facilities people coming on board and looking where we could use some of our sports courts for that. And then also we saw a very interesting relationship that formed between our internal teams and external teams, such as the Red Cross and the council. And again, we saw people standing up and taking leadership roles. So I think this was a period when we all felt really happy that the preparatory work that we'd done on teamwork and leadership had really paid off dividends. It also showed us in our community that our big goal, our long-term goal, is to be Australia's most engaged university, and this was a fantastic illustration of how we were engaging with the community. In this time of stress within the community, the university came forward and said, look, we're opening our doors, come in, use this as the evacuation centre. We put some of our own resources in to that for funding of the centre to show that we had a commitment to engagement in our region, and again I think that's done us a lot of good in our place in our community. We've followed on from those, and we want to build on the great work, the teamwork and the leadership that we saw during the floods. So we've put aside something like $200,000 for research into flood mitigation and flood-related projects. And again, we're seeing some great teams come together to address themselves on those issues. I think probably the challenge for us as a university is how we build on what happened during the floods. And I think one thing that happens nearly always in Australia is when you have a crisis, people pull together, you see leaders emerging, you see teams forming and doing absolutely fantastic things. I think the question for us is, how do we make that the norm, that you don't only get that kind of approach to leadership and management during a crisis, you just have it on a normal day-to-day basis. Now, we're doing lots of work on that, and I don't think it just happens. I think you do have to do a lot of training and preparing people to take on a leadership role and to work into teams. So, look, the floods were a fairly tragic event for many parts of Australia, but for us I think they proved to be a proving ground for what we'd been doing for the last couple of years, and a real chance for us to build on what we saw happening in the floods in the future, and really go to that situation where we don't just have a few leaders in the university, where we have everybody that works for the university is a leader at the appropriate time and everyone is willing to be led at the appropriate time in fantastic high achieving teams.